Okay, so again, before we get started, I want to know where my stitching is going to end. This is where I'm going to start. I'm going to just mark 5 inches. So come up here and mark 5 inches. For the sake of the video, I will go ahead and mark every 1/4 inch on this line. But again, you don't have to do this. But for some of you, I think it's good practice to help get your stitches uniform and relatively close together. I suggest even getting closer together than this, but in order for you to really see on the video, I'm just going to do 1/4 inch. Okay, and like that is my stopping point. Okay, nice dark line. Okay, I'm going to use a different color fabric. Thread. I'm going to use brown thread here. I'm going to use the, not that needle, but this needle, which again still has that really thick eye, wide eye up here, so it should be pretty easy to get my thread through. But first I need to measure my thread. Again, I would so that's 2 times 3, 4. I think 4 is good. I didn't have a ton of excess that last time. You don't want to waste thread, but you also don't want to get caught with not enough thread. So I'm going to take my needle and my thread. It helps to, again, moisten that and then kind of smooth it so all the fibers are pointing in the same direction, and then put through the eyelet. And again, if that's difficult for you, that's why we have this other handy dandy tool in our kit. You're welcome to use that one as well. Mine just did kind of a weird thing. I'm going to try this again, and maybe I'll demonstrate with this tool again. So you just stick this through, then you have a much bigger gap here to get your thread through. And then when I pull this back through, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing again, where I'm going to try and find the other end of my thread. Find the other end of my thread here. Line these two up. So needle on one end, 2 lined up pieces, like the ends of the threads here. And now it's time to knot, everyone's least favorite thing to do. So let's try again. So I loop, okay, and so the ends of the thread are underneath. And I'm going to pull through. Okay. And then that's 1 knot. That's the easy part. Now I'm going to put that knot right there on my middle finger and do the same thing. Make a loop, pull it through, except this time I want to go slow. There we go. Alright, so that's a good size knot. I'll do it one more time just so you can watch. And if you do your second knot and it doesn't go on top of the previous knot, you'll need to do it again. It's no big deal though. It happens all the time. Whew, okay. That wasn't very smooth. Let me do that again so you can see. I'm going to loop and then pull through. And now I have a nice, really big knot. Okay, so that looks good. All right. Okay, so now it's time to show you how to do a back stitch, which we're going to do on this edge here. Again, I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so from the edge of the fabric to where I'm actually going to be sewing is a 1/4 inch. I made marks every 1/4 inch to help me with my stitching and make sure that they're equal distance apart. Each stitch is equal distance apart, and then it's always smart to give yourself that straight line so that your stitch is straight. All right, and I have my thread prepped. I have my knot here. It has a good bit of tail, so I might trim some of that off, but it's not a huge deal. So a back stitch is really, really similar to a running stitch. So I'm going to start again down here, just like we did with the running stitch. Push through. and pull. And so hopefully you can see the knot is pulling tight. I went through both pieces of fabric. And again, this is still the same. I'm going to push my needle around until it's where I want it to be, and then push up through the fabric. I'm going to show you what happens if, oh, there we go. Okay, that actually worked out perfectly fine. So instead now with a running stitch, normally I would just put my needle through here because we're like running forward. A back stitch is taking one step back. So once I've come up through this hole, I'm actually going to come back. This is the back stitch. And sometimes it can get kind of annoying having your pins nearby, like they'll get caught on the ball of the pin, and that's normal. But just go slow. If you go fast when you're pulling on thread, it is very easy to get tangles, and tangles are like everyone's worst nightmare. Okay, so now I'm kind of like back where I started down here. And then, but then now from behind, from underneath, I'm going to move along. Okay, and just make sure that my thread is laying flat on the back, and then come back. Oh, okay, so if this happens to you, not a big deal. It's not even tangled. I like to get my needle and pull until all the threads are lined up. And so we'll like, yeah, there we go, it's fine. Oh my gosh, my cat. Taco. Sorry. Okay. So again, I'm on the back of the fabric. I'm going to now move up to the next mark and pull. Make sure everything's laying flat. And then do my back stitch. So what this does, the reason someone would do a back stitch is because it is far more secure than a running stitch. So if you're making like a bag, let's say, or a pillow, like something that's going to have something in it, you wouldn't want gaps in your stitches because things are going to fall out. And a back stitch kind of like seals it up a lot better than a running stitch. A running stitch is you're going to have gaps in between your stitches. There we go, close. Okay. I forgot that with a back stitch you need more thread. I'm kind of worried. I think we might have to stop midway, tie it off, and then get more thread, which is fine, but I'm going to keep checking on the back, make sure all my stitches are laying flat. Alright, so my rule, and I've taught this to very young little ones, is that like when the thread, when you only have, like when the tail is this long, I usually say, like, and I've got bigger hands than you guys probably, but like, I'm only going to do maybe 1 or 2 more stitches before I tie this off. And the reason you have to stop and kind of waste this much thread is because you need to have thread in order to make that knot. You need to have like enough slack to be able to tie your threads securely. Okay. Like, and so right now, like to make a loop is doable, but if I keep going, I'm not going to have enough thread. So actually I'm going to stop here, and to tie it off, there's a couple of different things I could do. Well, maybe I'll do, I think I have enough. I'm going to do one more back stitch. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to come up like right here. Like middle of that stitch. Okay, yeah, so that should be enough thread to do this tying. Okay, So I have this stitch here, and it's the same as we did with the running stitch. I'm going to just put my needle through, make a loop, right? Make a loop like this, and then put my needle through and pull. And I like to do that a couple of times because I am neurotic and I don't want my stitches falling out. And you start to get good at it. You could also like go back into the fabric, grab a little bit of fabric, you maybe see that there. Pull, and then pull through. There. Okay, so that's nice and secure. And so I'm going to trim that because that thread's not going to get me all the way to the end. I forgot that we need to do like double what we did before.